How do you know that Michael Bay has excluded Galvatron from the movie? What's up, Ragin Nation? How's it going? This is Alex Yu, and you're watching The Road to TF5. This is just Webster's. We're talking about Transformers last night. This is episode number 124, and in this episode, the first thing that I would like to do is bring to your attention this YouTube comment right here. It is from Rob Dan Gree PP, and it reads, "Can somebody please tell me what is going on with the Galvatron character, and how are they going to just write off that character and just bring back Megatron without having some sort of connection between them two? It's totally got me lost." Well, first of all, thank you for your YouTube comment. Second, you're not alone in wondering about Galvatron. A lot of people have wondered, where is Galvatron? What has happened to his character? And why have we not seen him during the production of Transformers last night? Now, the third thing that I would like to say in response to your YouTube comment is, how could you possibly know that they wrote off the Galvatron character? Let me guess. It is because you haven't seen the alt mode during the production of Transformers last night. Now, for those that are unaware or have forgotten, the alt mode for Galvatron is the Freightliner Argosy, and it was introduced in Transformers Age of Extinction. And because we haven't seen the Freightliner Argosy anywhere during the production of Transformers last night, we are all to assume that his character just doesn't exist. That is a wrong way of thinking. How do you know that they didn't film the Freightliner Argosy in a closed set? How could you possibly know that? I don't know that. You don't know that. The only way you would have known that is if you worked for the film, which I'm pretty sure you don't. But anyways, we can't automatically assume that they wrote off the Galvatron character. Now, what we're going to do in this episode is we're going to talk about it, because this seems to be a very, very important topic, and after what I've read from all these comments all over social media about Galvatron, it seems to be the biggest question on a lot of people's minds, just because we A, have not seen the Freightliner Argosy during the production of Transformers last night, and B, there is no toy for Galvatron, which is making fans less hopeful that Galvatron exists in this film. Here's what I'd like to say to that, first of all. They have 13 talented writers, and not one of them is named Aaron Kruger. Second, during those 3 months that they were in the writer's room, they took lore from the Transformers comics, the Transformers cartoons, not just G1, and also the previous Transformers films. And by previous films, I'm talking about live-action films and also the 1986 movie. So they have taken into consideration what has happened in the previous film, the events of Transformers Age of Extinction. And of course, one of those characters in Transformers Age of Extinction is, of course, Galvatron. Now, keep in mind that Galvatron is a product of KSI. They're going to acknowledge KSI because Stanley Tucci is also in Transformers last night. He's a character that's coming back. So we're going to talk about that because this seems to be a very, very important topic. Because a lot of people are not only wondering about Galvatron, but I've read some comments which shows that some fans are legitimately pissed. They're pissed off because, based on what I've read, some people are saying that Michael Bay once again screwed up Transformers because he excluded Galvatron from the film, and he provided no explanation whatsoever. Hey, you have not even seen the film. How do you know that Michael Bay has excluded Galvatron from the movie? Anyways, the writers, I'm pretty positive, are going to take into consideration what has happened to Galvatron and bring that into Transformers last night. Now, before we talk about any of that, we have to first learn a little bit more about Megatron and his role in the movie. I came across this image, and what it is the photo of the back of the box for Megatron's toy for Transformers last night from Hasbro. Now, if we zoom in on the text, it is his continuous biography. And what I mean by continuous biography is that it is Megatron's biography, but it has progressed throughout the films. And as the story progresses, then his character will progress, his biography will progress. So here's what it reads on his continuous biography. Megatron. Megatron will never waver in his quest to revive the civilization that once thrived on Cybertron. As he returns once again, the Decepticon will stop at nothing until he has fulfilled his devious schemes, decimated all hope, and taken revenge on his ultimate nemesis, Optimus Prime. So, that is what we know about Megatron, and at face value, it reads like a very generic biography for Megatron. It just tells us that, oh, he wants to beat Optimus Prime, and he's just his same evil self again. Which is absolutely true. But you're not looking at it from a more deeper perspective. So, to all those people who believe that Galvatron is gone, and Megatron is in the film, and there's no explanation for Galvatron, I'm gathering that you think that Megatron and Galvatron are two different characters. That's what I'm gathering. Because if you really believe that Galvatron is not even in this film, then Megatron has got to be a completely different character. Now, the only way that Galvatron and Megatron could be two different characters is if they are really two different characters, but where could they have possibly come from? And I'm going like this action here, because I'm making a parallel line, as in parallel universes. So in one universe, there's Galvatron. In another universe, there's Megatron. That's completely absurd. I don't believe that's going to happen. I absolutely don't think that the writers are going to go that route. The other explanation for two different characters, as in Megatron's a different character from Galvatron, is if there's time travel involved, in which you could have two of the same character in the same place. But that would screw up the space-time continuum. But anyways, the only way that could happen is if there was something like a time travel portal, like, for example, a space bridge that looks like Stonehenge. Because after all, in medieval times, the movie takes place in medieval times, and maybe a Megatron from that time traveled from the past, bringing back his beast-looking form, his barbaric-looking form, and coming back into modern day. So that's the only other explanation I can think of why there are two different characters. Why Galvatron and Megatron are two different characters. I'm sorry, but I don't buy any of that. Galvatron is not a separate character from Megatron. Megatron is Galvatron, and Galvatron is Megatron, as it always has been in the original cartoons. In the 1986 film, Optimus Prime beat Megatron, and Megatron got revived from Unicron, and then he became Galvatron. That's how it works. In the Transformers live action films, Optimus Prime beats Megatron in Transformers Dark of the Moon, and then KSI revives Megatron into Galvatron using technology that they harnessed, a Cybertronian technology that they harnessed from the dead Decepticons from the Chicago battle. That's how Megatron became Galvatron. Now, how on earth does Galvatron go back to becoming Megatron? That is the big question that we are going to discuss in this episode right now. Now, all I can provide is theories and speculation because, well, I don't know anything that happens in the film, but I can explain myself in using theories that I've put some thought into. Now, here's the three things that could happen, okay? There's three things that could happen. And that is, they just wrote off the character. The first thing is they just wrote off the character, no explanation at all, and then Megatron's there. But I don't think that's going to happen. Okay, we got 13 writers, all very talented, not Aaron Kruger. I'm pretty sure they provide an explanation. So the second thing is that Galvatron becomes Megatron, but there's no actual explanation for it, in like a visual explanation for it. We don't actually see Galvatron as a Freightliner Argosy transform into Megatron. Like, we don't see it, but it happens. And they explain that it's the same character. After all, Stanley Tucci is in the film. There could be some sort of narration that acknowledges the fact that Megatron Galvatron turned it back into Megatron. Alright, so that's the second thing. The third thing is the most ideal scenario, and that is we see a visual representation of Galvatron as the way he looks from Transformers Age of Extinction, and then he becomes Megatron with an explanation, and then you see that all happen. Like, you see the morphing of the Cybertronian technology, and then Galvatron physically becomes Megatron. You actually see that happen, and it comes with an explanation. So that is the most ideal situation, and that's what I think could happen. To be completely honest, I'm leaning more towards number 2, and that is Galvatron becoming Megatron without any visual representation. But there is a narrative explanation from somebody, perhaps Stanley Tucci. And that will be good enough for me. To be completely honest, that would be good enough for me. I really don't need to see that. They could just have it happen because, maybe to save time, or they don't have the Freightliner Argosy, they didn't bother with it. So all they really do is just explain that, or have Megatron mention himself that I did not like that Earth form. I was disgusted by this Earth form, and I wanted to go back to the form that I was before. And by that form, he decided to take on a more medieval, barbaric form. So that's what could happen, and I think that is what is going to happen. We don't actually see Galvatron as that KSI robot, KSI created robot. We don't see Galvatron as a Freightliner Argosy. We don't see it at all. We just see Megatron, and we see him provide a little bit of an explanation how he thought that mode that he had before, or the way he looked, was disgusting because it was an Earth form, like an Earth human created form, and he just didn't like it. And he wanted to go back to a form that he had before, perhaps a form that he had in medieval times. And as for the jet, Cybertronian jet. That is not a human jet. Obviously, that's not a jet from the US Air Force. That is some sort of Cybertronian jet. And he decided to take that form. After all, he's been a Cybertronian jet in the first film, and he was also like some kind of a spaceship, like also a Cybertronian jet that looks different in Revenge of the Fallen. Now, let's look back at the history of the films, because what happens in the past actually explains why what I've mentioned will happen. Looking back at the past, Cybertronians, namely Megatron, Optimus Prime, and Bumblebee, have taken new forms, without any actual effort or explanation at all. Let's look at Optimus Prime. Optimus Prime, from Transformers Dark of the Moon to Age of Extinction, has become a Peterbilt, and then an evasion mode flat nose truck. Like his evasion mode Optimus Prime. He just did it. There was no explanation for it. He just became that truck. Second, the evasion mode battle damaged vehicle just scanned a brand new Western Star truck, and he became that. All the rust came off, all the dirt came off, and all these parts just formed. It just happened because they can do that. Second, Bumblebee was a 1967 Camaro, or a 77 Camaro, an old one. Okay, and he just scanned a 2007 Camaro, and he became that. And then in Age of Extinction, he was the 1967 SS Camaro, like the stealth mode. He scanned a 2015 Camaro, and then he became that. It is very, very simple. And as for Megatron, heck, you don't even see the scanning. He just goes from the Cybertronian jet mode, and then in Revenge of the Fallen, he's in the obsidian abyss in the bottom of the ocean. They just give him a couple extra parts, and then suddenly he's a triple changer. He becomes a new robot form. He's also a tank and a new Cybertronian jet. That is very different from his Cybertronian jet mode in the first film. And to top things off, when he is in Transformers Dark of the Moon, he starts off as a Mad Max style oil tanker. How does he become that? Well, it happened. It happened between the events of Revenge of the Fallen and Dark of the Moon. A happening that we didn't see in the films. So, if anybody is wondering how does he go from one alt mode to another, it doesn't need to be explained. They've been doing this for the last 4 films, and we, as fans, have been okay with it. We've accepted it. So there is no reason to freak out. It's something that we've seen all along. The only thing that we really need to see is some sort of brief narrative for how it happened. Because Galvatron obviously is, it's a pretty significant character. He's a human-created character. How does he go back to becoming a full-on Cybertronian? Here's what I think happens, okay? So, Megatron's already Megatron at the beginning of the movie, and then he explains to his fellow Decepticons that I hated that Earth mode. It was disgusting. I didn't want any part of it. And then he decides to take on his barbaric form. The reason why is because a part of this film is set in medieval times, and maybe he just wanted to have one of his earliest forms. And that is the way Megatron looks in the film now in The Last Knight. Now, how does he become a Cybertronian plane, a Cybertronian jet? Well, keep in mind that he's the last remaining KSI prototype. Okay, maybe there are a couple prototypes running around. Maybe they didn't kill them all. But let's just be completely honest here. In the film, Galvatron is the last remaining KSI prototype. He still possibly, most likely has that KSI nano-forming technology, and he can become whatever he wants. He can become whatever he wants. Okay? Stanley Tucci's character, Joshua Joyce, was able to take this, the pieces, the Cybertronian mess, and then make it into a Beats by Dre, and into a gun. He could turn it into anything he wants. So, with that being said, Megatron, or rather Galvatron, can turn into anything he wants. From a Freightliner Argosy to a Cybertronian jet. And there you have it. That's the explanation. That is my speculation, and I just can't think of anything else. I cannot think of any other way that could happen. And, anyways, what are your thoughts on that? Let me know in the comment section below. That's all I really got to say in this episode. I really just wanted to talk about Galvatron because it seems to be on a lot of people's minds. Now, what I'd like to do now is I'd like to share with you a couple of images. And this is from Aaron Fixter. He's the producer-director of the Transformers fan film Dark Before Extinction, which still needs your support in funding the campaign. And I would like to show you some photos of what he's got right here is Sector 8, and he's staring right at Optimus Prime. And also, here's a shot of the Sector 8 uniforms that is being worn. Looks very, very cool. So, this is a pretty serious production, and if you would like to see it happen, click the link on the description box below, because they need your support. And I think it's great to support each other because we're all fans and we're all part of a community, and showing support for each other really does it's a representation of the fandom coming together. So please show your support, and if you can't afford to donate, then at least spread awareness about the project by sharing it, retweeting it, things like that. All right, so thank you very much. The next thing I would like to bring to your attention is another fundraising campaign. It's from Michael Proctor, who is of course a fan of the Ragin Nation, and him and his girlfriend are trying to raise funds for this local peace hospice. And what it is a peace hospice which has looked after members of his family, and also like friends and family members, and they are providing care and support for people who are terminally ill. And also, not only do they provide support and care for those people, but also they support people who are like friends. I mean, people who are family members of those people. So there's a lot of people involved, and I think it's a really, really good cause, and I'm going to leave you the donation links in the comment section below, and you can read a little bit more about it. I'm going to leave you an information link for you to check that out, and once again, it's going for a good cause. Alright, it's shout-out time. It is shout-out time, and I said that I'm going to give 10 people shout-outs who posted an Instagram photo of themselves watching one of my episodes with the hashtag #WatchinRaginNation. Now, thank you so much to all 31 of you who participated in the Watchin' Ragin' Nation hashtag shoutout contest. And I'm going to give shoutouts to 10 of you guys. After all, that's what I said. And the shoutouts go to Shane Platts, Manny Manel, Thwan 10,000, Richard Riddle 81, and also the TF Nerd, Tony SDS, German Props, Tone Zone 117, 20 Master Prime 02, and finally, last but not least, Transformers Fan 16. Now, I gave shoutouts based on creativity and if you did anything fun and different and had a good time. I really liked your image. Like your photo, and that's why I gave you a shout out. So thank you so much to you guys, and thank you to all 31 of you who participated. And this little shout out thing that we're doing continues. For those 10 that I shouted out, I would like you to take another Instagram photo of you looking at your photo on the screen right now, press pause, and then take another selfie or photo of yourself on that screen holding that exact same pose. Basically, it's like photoception, okay? And the new hashtag that I would like you to use is watching me, watching Ragin Nation, okay? Watching me, watching Ragin Nation. And I will give a big shout out to one of you guys. Okay, and once again, this is all based on creativity and just how well you can recreate that image again, that photo again, and it'll be fun. It'll be fun. I never said it's for prizing or anything. It's just that, you know, like sometimes it's fun to do things just because you want to do it, and it's just to really have fun. It's just a fun thing, all right? So for the 10 of you guys that I shouted out, once again, put that photo on pause if you see it in the video, and then take another selfie of yourself, and then you tag me, put the hashtag watching me, watching Ragin Nation. And there you have it. That's all I gotta say in this episode. In the next episode, we are going to talk about the Forge of Solus Prime. Stay tuned for that episode. And as always, if you enjoyed this episode and you want to see more, hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like me on Facebook, The Ragin Nation. Also follow me on Twitter, Ragin Nation. My name is Alex Yu. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace. Films, he gets an opportunity to work on 1 or 2 small films before he goes back to a Transformers film. He has a great relationship with Paramount Pictures. He doesn't